This is the Young Bucks.
And you're listening to the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show. To sweet me.
Produced by the Cleveland Sound Radio Network. Here is the This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, hosted by Glenn Moore and Steve Guy.
We are back. This is Awesome Wrestling Show here on SealySound.com. I'm Glenn, joined here by the Steve Guy. Both of us a little more tan. Both of us leaving the state of Ohio for the weekend. Myself going to South Florida. Steve went to the good old state of Texas. Me on vacation. You went for a wedding, correct?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you
I
did.
married the people.
That's awesome.
I officiated the wedding in the in Bible country down there. True story. So I did this, and everybody just was assuming that I was a pastor because they're pretty religious in Texas, if you didn't know. And then afterwards, I'm like, all right, cool, great. And it was a bunch of guys I grew up with in the Twinsburg area.
T-Burg.
And so we were all down there because our one buddy moved there. And then after, like, the wedding ceremony ended and they're kind of doing the pictures, I'm standing back by myself. This woman who runs the whole place comes up to me because the ceremony and reception in the same spot, and she's like, "Can I ask a favor of you?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right." She's like, "Would you ask the blessing?" And I was like, "What's that mean, ask the blessing?" She's like, "Would you do the prayer before the buffet before we do the meal?" And I was like, yeah, I guess so. So, well, now I just gotta think of what to say. She's like, "Oh, well, like, dear God, blah blah." I'm like, yeah, sure, sounds great. I'll do it.
There you
but
go.
I just went into my friends. I was like, "So I just got asked to do the meal prayer. I don't think she gets it." Lady clearly not on board, but I did it. It was the first time I ever blessed the meal at a wedding.
Well, there you go.
That was something else. So I think that makes me the real deal.
Yeah,
right?
you are the real deal. The real deal, Steve Guy.
Yeah.
There you go. You find your wrestling name.
Just stole that name.
So I went down to South Florida, saw a couple wrestling events. NXT was in Miami, saw that. Not as good as a show as NXT in Cleveland was. The couple times that I went, Steve, you went to the first time.
Yeah.
Uhaa Nation wrestled. That was cool to see him. The main event was Samoa Joe versus Finn for the title, which was a great match. But a lot of quote-unquote NXT rookies, people I never heard of, on the card. Tyler Breeze was there. You had Eva Marie, who we could do a whole show on her, how bad of a wrestler she is. They're really putting all their chips on Eva Marie when it comes to promoting, the look. She just can't wrestle. Brian Kendrick is going to be, is helping her with wrestling, but she just didn't impress me at all. So it was a fun time to go to NXT Miami. And then went to Rowan Wrestling 7. And I had a chance to speak to Larry Zbyszko, and he is our interview this week on This Is Awesome Wrestling Show, coming up in a couple of moments. And that was cool. Obviously, Larry was there. You had Blue Pants was there, her from NXT. Michael Tavar, who is from Akron. You know him from the Nexus. He was there wrestling. So that was a pretty cool show. Probably one of the best indie shows I've seen ever. High-paced. If you guys are in the Florida area, make sure to check out Rowan Wrestling. Just starting out, professionally set up. The ring, they have a wall. It was pretty. When you think of an indie promotion that's just starting out, you think maybe it's bare bones, but somebody is funding it. And it was fun because The Rock's mom was at both events this weekend too. So
She was at NXT as well?
Yeah, NXT
okay.
first row, and she was first row for the indie show, which is kind of surprised. I don't know why she was. The Rock wasn't there, obviously, but that was my weekend of wrestling in South Florida. So both of us a little more tan, but we are back a day late because of travel and whatnot. But Larry Zbyszko, the living legend, WWE Hall of Famer. You know him from WCW and his famous feud with Bruno Sammartino way back in the day. And we talked with him. I talked with him for an interview this week, so that'll be coming up momentarily. Now, Steve, before we get into Mr. Hulk Hogan and what's going on with Hogan and WWE and his comments, we have a giveaway.
Hey!
We had people follow us on Twitter and we had some people tweeted us why they wanted the Daniel Bryan book.
Some people messaged us.
Yeah, and we had a lot of people also ask, well, I'm not big on Twitter. Can we like the show on iTunes, which helps us tremendously. If you haven't done it already, go on iTunes, rate us, leave a comment, subscribe. So what we did is we combined iTunes with Twitter, and we have our box here.
Yeah. We have multiple. It's like everybody have the same name. We had multiple. We had like a couple people with the same name.
Yeah.
There was like four Chris's, 3 like Joes or something like that.
Yeah.
And a Justin. We all know Justin from this show.
Yeah. But the thing is, we combined to get a lot more of a selection of people to get, because there's a ton of people that have liked us on not Instagram, but also on iTunes, which is huge for us in our rankings. So what we're gonna do now is pick our winner.
Just shake it up.
Shake it up a little bit. Shaking up the box.
But if you are one of these people who liked us on iTunes, and even if you don't like Twitter, tell your friends that are on Twitter to follow us.
Yeah.
They like us too, because a lot of fun stuff on there throughout the week.
We're not going to give away the email.
At TIA Wrestling.
Yes. If it's an iTunes person, we're not going to give away the email because we don't want people spamming you. We'll just give the name and location.
We did names and where they were from.
Yeah.
Because we could look on their
and also
profiles
Twitter
and stuff.
Twitter handles too.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Want me to grab it?
You want to read?
Yeah.
Go here. There you go. And the winner. Well, you'll do that. You're the MC host.
Hey, thanks.
Extraordinaire.
And the winner of the Daniel Bryan book special giveaway from This Is Awesome Wrestling Show is... Oh, I thought maybe you were going to give me a drum roll. We'll put that in after. Chris from Canada.
Canada, no.
Chris. We had, Chicago/Ohio Chris, because I know that is.
Yeah.
We had our friend Florida Chris.
Yeah.
We have Canada Chris. I thought there was another one. Maybe not. Canada Chris, though. You are the winner. So if you are Chris from Canada, I presume you know who you are.
Now, we're shipping this book out to Canada. Is there extra fee for shipping it to Canada International?
There better not be.
Oh, boy. Our budget is non-existent. So we're going to have to figure something out.
There better not be.
All right, Chris.
Chris from Canada may not be getting this book.
Chris, we're going to be emailing you shortly and getting your address so we can send out this Daniel Bryan book. Congratulations.
It's cool that we're international, though.
Yeah, we are international. We are. When we get the numbers from our show and we see the worldwide where people download, I mean, we're big in the UK.
Yeah.
We're big obviously in the US and some Canada and some Mexico, but we're United States and the UK, man. Picking up steam. This is Awesome Wrestling Show. So congrats, Chris from Canada. The Daniel Bryan book is coming your way, barring any international charges that might occur.
Yeah. What's the dollar thing there?
I don't know. Might have to smuggle across the border for you. Throw it across Lake Erie. All right.
Meet us in the middle of Lake Erie.
Yeah. So there's our book giveaway, and Daniel Bryan will be on the show in the coming weeks to talk about his book and talk about him being on Tough Enough. Now, speaking of Tough Enough, there is one man that is missing from Tough Enough because of some comments he's made years ago in the privacy of his own home, tape recorded, and now they're being released. It seems like every day, Steve, that a new comment from Hulk Hogan is being released via the
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Glenn Moore, you were in my home state of Florida, brother. And what we do down there should be private. Well, I was working with my privates and her privates on privacy of our own home. And Steve Godden, brother, you were down to Texas. And actually, for the most part, I like the opinions of the people in Texas.
Oh, Hulkster. No. Hulkster, we are recording this, and this is going to be on the show, just to let you know. Don't be suing us. All right, Hulk Hogan. A lot of anti-gay remarks, a lot of racist remarks. Now, this was recorded in the privacy of his own home. He didn't know this was being recorded. And now this is being released years ago. And like I said, every day, like something new was just popped up an hour ago.
Probably should never have tried to sue Bubba the Love Sponge.
He should have just settled because then it never gone to court.
You banged the guy's wife.
Yeah.
He videotaped you.
Oh,
I know he tricked you into it or whatever.
I'm full, brother. Feel like a pig, brother.
and you knew once you went after your friend, there's gonna be something worse on there, right?
So now he is gone from WWE. His contract terminated. He's not on Tough Enough. They are basically removing him. He's removed from the website totally. Hulkamania, soon it's going to be non-existent. Like, it's never going to happen. It's going to be like the Chris Benoit. Like, it's going to be.
Apparently, you're not even allowed right now to wear his merchandise at the show.
Yeah. To wear it?
They do not want.
I know signs. You can't bring signs.
I don't know what that would mean. Like, would you have to turn your shirt inside out? They can't tell you to go home and change. Be sweet if they give you a different shirt, right?
I mean, what if you wore?
What a great idea.
What if you actually have a, blonde mustache, and you're a bodybuilder, and you actually have a bandana on,
and you have a good tan,
and a good tan? And you have 20-inch pythons. What are you gonna do?
Probably have
what you gonna do?
You probably have to dye your beard black.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
They're gonna make you shave off your mustache.
Oh no! It worked really hard on that.
They're gonna give you a razor. You have the option to give you a razor and some gel, or you leave the building, sir.
So for those who don't know,
if you're underneath a rock,
Hulk Hogan said some really bad things in this.
Yeah. Now it's
one of which was, first of all, people are racist, and that surprises me less.
That sounds
like,
I'm gonna play that.
No,
people are racist. People are
like, when you hear about, this person's racist, you're like, yep, they still do exist. Gosh darn it, I wish they didn't. I do, because it is annoying.
Okay.
But it doesn't surprise me that there are people that still exist, because there are still all these, obviously, we're of a younger generation where, like, we don't grow up with that. Like, we weren't, I grew up, I know people who are, but we're part of a more accepting generation.
Yeah, no, I get you.
What kills me though is I know that Hogan's not a part of that generation, so you find out he's racist. All right, well, whatever. But the fact of the matter that he was talking about it and discussing his daughter's sex life, that's the part that really kills me. Why are you openly discussing that? Here's the thing. If you were not so obsessed with your daughter, you probably wouldn't have made this mistake.
Brother.
And you'd still have your job, brother.
He's not hurting for money, I don't think. But, the thing is, though, is that Hulkamania, Hulk Hogan's legacy, people have bad things to say about Hulk Hogan, how he buries people, how only thinks of himself. And those things happen in professional wrestling. But for now that people are going to think of Hulk Hogan, not of Hulkamania, not of the NWO. I will. I will think of him as a wrestler more than being a quote-unquote racist or a
Look, the
bigot.
1980s are just going to shit, all right? You don't think of Bill Cosby as being Mr. Huxtable anymore.
Nope.
You don't think of Hulk Hogan being Hulk Hogan anymore.
Yeah. People are more worried about a lion being killed than
it all went to hell.
Than starvation. It is. People. Now, do you think? And we hate to get all political and all gushy and deep on the program because we all know our listeners are. We have a smart crowd, but
I'm wearing Superman socks right now. Next thing you know, you're going to tell me that Christopher Reeve wasn't really paralyzed and it was all just a money scam.
Never know. But do you think it's more of are the times are changing, or that people are just too damn sensitive?
It's both.
Yeah.
Let's not get it twisted. Hogan dropped the N-bomb like 5 or 6 times.
Now there's new. Did you see the transcript of him talking to his son on the prison phone, the jail phone, dropping?
No.
Yeah, that just came out before you got here.
So
there's more stuff.
Yeah, that's different. That's not. You can legitimately be sensitive about that. I get it. I have my issues with the word in general, but. And people using it, so there's that, but then there's other things that I guess people are too sensitive about. That one, I don't think there's one of them. I think there's some legitimacy to what you did. You see the Bray Wyatt Funny or Die?
No.
It's supposed to be Bray Wyatt cutting up promo, and then he talks about like all the bones of all these legends past and Ric Flair or something. He says Hulk Hogan. The guy goes, "Oh, hang on, Bray." He's like, "Don't say Hogan." He's like, why? Well, he's not with WWE anymore, so he can't really say. He's like, oh, okay. Just so I know, would he say something bad? Like, because I can't, I don't want to touch on it by accident. What did he do? And they're like, well, he said the N word like 6 or 7 times in a video. Or they're like, you know the Bubble Love Sponge? He's like, yeah. Had sex, Bubble's girlfriend. Yeah, sure. And he's like, well, he said the N word 6 or 7 times. What? Once is too many for me.
Did they call you for the impression? Did they call you for that? No, they didn't call you.
He's a much larger man than me.
Oh,
but
you could do the voiceover.
Yeah, and they kept going, so it was pretty funny. And they just kept going back and forth, and by the end of it, he was very upset. And I'm like, all right, well, can you do the SummerSlam promo still? And by the end of it, he's just like, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, screw you guys. And he was like super depressed that Hulk Hogan was ruined.
Is now when you think of Hulk Hogan, are you going to think of this? Or are you going to think of what probably wrestling fans should think of is NWO, Hulkamania, the matches, him being in charge of his creative? Like, what is he done? Is his legacy tarnished forever?
It's I don't know. Yes, no. It's maybe they shouldn't have kept holding on to his legacy, and this wouldn't have happened, right? Like the fact that the fact that he is still so in the public eye with WWE.
So
had he been gone, listen, have you ever the Iron Sheik, we all know.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to him talk.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, all right, that's Sheik. He's old and he's crazy.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been in the WWE picture for some time.
Oh, yeah.
Had this been a Hulk Hogan, we would have been like, all right, it's Hulk Hogan. He's getting old and senile. Yeah. So things in that to that level, maybe that would have been fine. But because he's there, it's crazy to me because now you think about WrestleMania 18, Hogan and The Rock.
Oh, yeah. I was there.
And if Hogan is that big of a racist,
oh, brother.
Now you look at that match and you're like, wow.
I don't think.
You think The Rock had any clue? I mean, did Hogan hate The Rock's dad? I look back in the '80s, Hogan wrestled with the Junkyard Dog.
Virgil was in NWO.
Coco Beware. Yeah.
Vincent was in NWO. He's black.
I mean, I don't know. How deep does this go?
I don't think it goes that deep. I think it's just a guy that grew up in that era of the way it was racial tension, but and that's just his opinion. He's an older generation guy. I don't think it ever. I think we would have heard stuff if it ever spilled over into professionally with, oh, I'm not going to work with this guy, brother, because he's African American.
Yeah, but back then it was so over. And you didn't have the internet and the media that you have today. So
but you think
wouldn't.
These shoot interviews these guys do now, these older generations, they love to rip Hogan. They love to rip him.
Oh, they all rip him. They all hate him.
Do you think it would have came out earlier? That if this is how he is, 100%, this
probably
is deep?
did come out earlier, and we didn't
know it.
No, we didn't pay attention to it.
Maybe
we were just like, whatever. He's just jealous that he didn't get his. It's like now you have to go back and look.
Yeah.
And rewatch all these things. So maybe it did. Maybe, like they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And perhaps we just didn't pay attention to the smoke. We were those people.
Do you think Hulk Hogan will ever be back in WWE?
Well, the WWE motto is never say never.
Yeah.
But I find it highly unlikely.
Do you think he'll go TNA? Think TNA will welcome him back?
They're hurting, but I don't know if they're hurting that much.
Global Force Wrestling, brother.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
It'll be interesting to see.
If TNA doesn't want you, there's something wrong.
I think the thing that tarnishes this is that he also did an interview how he talks about how he didn't like the word.
Yeah.
And the difference between like the A and the ER ending that people constantly go back and forth with. Now he has people around him and they'll say it and that makes him uncomfortable. So you think about that.
But he just said that's a safe face.
But that's what I'm saying. So how much of Hulk Hogan is safe face? What is the real Hulk Hogan at this point? It's just like the Bill Cosby situation. Obviously not as bad. It's not like Hogan was out here. Listen, I will take a guy who is just being racist, dropping N-bombs over a serial rapist any day. But
with the Jello pudding pop.
Allegedly.
Yeah, thank you. Allegedly. That saves our ass.
And
all this is allegedly.
But on the same token, you look at it, you look at the entire aura of him differently. Just entirely look back. All right, is he really this I'm a real American proud guy? I mean, what's he going home and doing, really?
I mean, he had a show with Mr. T. He did stuff with Mr. T all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Maybe it wasn't Piper and Paul Orndorff who were reluctant to work with Mr. T.
I mean, Piper was the one that painted half his face black back in the day.
Yeah, well...
But obviously, okay. But then again, people are saying, okay, I like how when all this has transpired, and the non-wrestling websites and the news media saying, "Oh, well, Vince used the N-word on TV." That's like a movie. That's like Tom Cruise saying it in a movie. Doesn't mean that he means it. Vince said it in character on a show, which is fictional. It's a fictional show. So people don't get it twisted, and I hate that clickbaiting headlines. Vince McMahon said the N-word X amount of years ago, and Booker T was upset. It was scripted.
It was fake Booker T.
Yeah.
Well, it was a Booker T tagline right at the end, after that.
Yeah.
Tell me he did not just say that.
Perfect. And then Booker T said the word on live TV for Hogan. Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, although you did...
Obviously, that was a slip up,
but you also, you've also had moments where Triple H pretty much alluded to it with Booker T in the ring. That's happened before too. So, without saying it, he said it without saying it. So yeah, you've had those instances, but nothing as profound and bad as this. I don't know.
This is just
it goes back to the guys that, as kids, we selected as being our heroes. Going back to a guy like Dusty Rhodes. Haven't heard a story like this come out of Dusty Rhodes.
That's true.
So that's what I mean when, it repaints the picture of someone. Because Dusty's gone, but he was still so involved with wrestling and everybody else. You didn't hear much of something that repainted the picture. Years ago, we did hear of issues between he and Dustin because of the Goldust character.
Right.
But obviously it was patched up, and he pushed for Cody to become Stardust, which if you haven't seen, Eden has a blog, and Cody wrote on there about why he chose to go back to Stardust, and it was phenomenal. So total side note on a positive side.
Yeah.
Somebody go look that up. Just read why Cody went back to that. But you don't hear those stories of a guy like Dusty, but you hear them of a guy like Hogan. Even to the fact that you had all this Macho Man Hulk Hogan tension. Mm-hmm. When Macho Man does. I don't remember hearing something like this about Macho Man. But you hear all these super negative stories towards Hogan.
Yeah.
Maybe the Warrior was right with his beef for so long.
It's true. There's something more to it than we know. And obviously we want to beat this dead horse because obviously we're probably talking about this for future weeks, whatever happens with Hogan.
Sure.
But you're right from the beginning is Hogan probably should have settled this out of court. So this stayed out of court. All these records that are sealed and being leaked are going to come out. So there's probably more and more. And last few days, there's been more and more being released every day. So I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more, but it's not the right time for Hogan to cut this stuff.
Clearly, there's a moral issue with Hulk Hogan in general. This is not the eat your vitamins, say your prayers, this guy, whatever. So even if we're like, oh, it's supposed to be private and blah, blah, blah. Well, let's go back to the main point of this. The guy was banging his best friend's wife.
Brother, oh, I'm so full, brother.
That's already a moral issue right there.
I feel like a pig, brother.
Your image of Hulk Hogan already gone if you just find that out.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we're gonna go to our interview with Larry Zbyszko, the living legend. Larry Zbyszko, you know him from WCW. Back when Nitro was hot, he was commentating, and also in the ring, and he had a legendary feud with Bruno Sammartino. And without that feud, there will be no Larry Zbyszko. So here's my conversation with Larry Zbyszko from over the weekend.
2015 Hall of Fame inductee.
Yes, and a man that really probably one of the first true heels when it comes to him and Bruno going at it. So we talk about that and much more. Larry Zbyszko here on This Is Awesome Wrestling Show.
from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Purveyor of Larry Land.
One of the most controversial athletes in the country.
Larry Zbyszko, the Steel Man from the Steel City. Oh my! It's Larry Zbyszko, the Living Legend.
Welcome back. This is Awesome Wrestling Show right here at CLEsound.com. I'm Glenn here in Florida, South Florida, with a very special man in the pro wrestling business, the living legend himself, Larry Zbyszko. You are a mainstay in professional wrestling, and now I can say you're a reality star because you'll be at Total Divas, and now you're in the reality realm. How was that experience with the reality show?
Well, it was a real experience. I didn't even know I was going to be on the silly show. I just wound up in some footage with one of my buddies, and next thing you know, but I haven't had to touch on. So I look good. So what you got on Total Divas with me was as good as I'm going to look.
Now I have to add that you are a WWE Hall of Famer now. You add that to your list of accolades.
Yeah.
You're a few months past from that. How does it feel to be a Hall of Famer, and is there a little more pep in your step knowing that you're recognized for what you've done?
Well, it was a thrill. I mean, and it's hard to explain what it felt like to stand there looking out at, all the fans looking down on you, and everybody you knew for your whole life in the front row, Pat and Dusty and everybody. It was a wild thrill, and it's cool. I mean, I put the ring on and go see people, and it's a cool thing, and like I said in my speech, I just hope everybody else's dream comes true like that too, because that's what we live for. I mean, if your dream don't come true and you ain't working to make your dream come true, what the hell are you doing here?
Right. People know you, obviously. I think generation of fans. Me being 32 years old, know the WCW announcing. Going against the new NWO, New World Order, WCW, that took place in the late 90s. But you are in history because I feel that the art of heel has maybe gone away a little bit, not the way it used to be. You can't say certain things on TV now. It's more PG. But you were a heel in the era of when people were waiting for you to beat you up after the show. It doesn't happen anymore. But how has that evolved and changed now? Is it obviously different, and how do you look at it? Is it a little more watered down heel?
Well, it's a little different, but it's not different because the wrestling business wants it different, or the fans want it different. It's kind of a lost art there, and some of these things like things you couldn't say. Yeah. I mean, when everybody hated me, and they hated me. In those days, I couldn't say ass on TV. Yeah. I couldn't say a dirty word, but. The way I walked, the way I looked, the way I talked. If I was coming down, on camera, there'd be a couple cops around me, and some kid would hand out his autograph book, and I'd take it, rip it up, and throw it in the air, and people were horrified. Yeah. And there was one thing I learned from the old school: they have to believe in this. No matter what people thought of wrestling, they believed Larry Zbyszko was an asshole. Yeah. And, I did that with kind of putting a show on on the show. I'd be bitching at the announcer, the referee, bing. And then, when I did something, people went nuts because they were set up to be dying to see something. And they got it, boom. So.
And back then,
it could happen to the again. It just, we'll see if we can change it.
And back then, the good guys faced heels. You guys were separated. You guys didn't travel together like it is now. People are posting social media, wrestlers posting social media pictures with good guys and bad guys. You guys were separated. So I read an interview back then that you said, your match with Bruno, you guys ad-libbed in the ring because you didn't have time before the match to talk about what's going on. And now guys nowadays are spending 2-3 hours going over a 20-minute match. It's way different.
Yeah, it's silly. I mean, I believe in the old days. Just, let them go. Stop all this, stuff, and let them go, because the cream is going to rise to the top. The guys who can go in there and connect with the crowd's imagination are going to rise to the top, and the other ones are going to, not. I mean, it's not. Everybody wants to be a wrestler, but it's just not meant for everybody. It's hard. You got to, it's a special, different kind of thing. So, I'm a big believer in that, and then you'll get a lot more talent, to come that way instead of just trying to make everybody a machine.
Right.
And I mean, they're so worried about. I mean, yeah, it's just. I'm trying to save it, brother.
Also, Dusty Rhodes passing away last month. Obviously, you have a long history with him, working with him. Your thoughts, it was kind of out of left field with the passing, and you saw NXT, people that has his hand on NXT, with all the people in development come out and support, and past wrestlers coming out and talking about stories. You didn't hear one bad thing about Dusty Rhodes from anybody leading up to this, even after he passed. But your thoughts on the passing and how it affected you?
Well, yeah, it's too bad. I mean, Dusty was one of those guys that I knew him, my whole career. And he was one of those guys, and I dealt with Dusty a lot in my career when he was a booker for the Crockett's, and me and him always hit it off good. He always had a respect for my work, so I always loved him for it. And he was a fun guy, and I remember the funny story. He brought me in, to the NWA, and I was doing an interview knocking the South, back in the day. And the Crockett brothers, two Southern boys, and I'm talking about how I'm going to beat up Tommy Rich, and they're going to carve him into, the side of Stone Mountain next to Robert E. Lee and Jeff Davis and all the rest of the all-time great American losers and this and that. And then I did such a great interview that the Crockett's hated me and wanted to fire me for making a great interview. And Dusty said, hey, the guy he's just standing there. He's great. So he always, put me over, and the business ain't the same without him. Even once in a while, you find yourself still talking like Dusty. So he'll always be with you, and he was a classic.
Now, are you involved with NXT development? Are you down here? Obviously, you're in Florida. Are you up in Orlando? Are you getting more involved with the whole process of developing talent now?
Well, you know what? I mean, I've been there, and I've been watching what's going on, and I'm so close, and things have been happening, and I've been talking to guys and helping. So I think I'm going to be sticking my nose in more and, spreading the knowledge, because they got the perfect setup right there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's getting fun.
I have to ask,
you get emotionally involved. It's like, come on, dude. You feel like a typical coach. You want to pull your hair out.
It's like your kids. It's like, you see these kids.
I mean, not only that, I mean, the breed, compared to the men of yesteryear, it's a different breed. I mean, guys, you're dealing with Larry Hennings and, crazy, Mad Dog Vachons. I mean, some of these guys were insane. They'd kill you. Peter Maivia, he'd eat you on the spot. Ming break you in half, They weren't nice. Billy Robinson and Carl Gotch, they break your arm and laugh.
I have to ask, I know the big news, Hulk Hogan not involved with WWE anymore. The whole story is still yet to come out, what's going to happen, but what's your thoughts on Hogan being basically struck from WWE? And do you think it's reactions a little bit too soon?
Well, I don't know what the story is. I mean, I'm not an internet guy.
Okay.
So,
really? I figured you'd be all over.
No, I'm never on the internet. No. I watch old movies. The only thing I use on my laptop, I play poker.
Okay.
I can watch a movie and play poker. And, but I don't know. Someone told me that something happened, but I don't know really anything about what or why. But, the WWE is a publicly owned company. Yeah. So, they have to operate under tight rules, and it worked out great. I mean, it's a fantastic company. But, they put their foot down to the drugs and the roids and this and that, and are really developing great athletes. But they have to be, whatever with the world because of their public status. So I have no idea what happened. Yeah. So, you got me, brother.
Your speech. Now, someone told me to ask you. If your Hall of Fame speech just a few months ago.
Last question.
Yeah, last one. Your Hall of Fame speech. I heard a rumor that you lost your speech before you went up on the stage and you just basically ad-libbed your speech. Is that true?
No, I never wrote a speech.
No, okay.
I mean, I thought about it before. I said, I'm just going to tell the people the truth. I was just telling the true story of me because I was a wrestling fan. Yeah. I was such a big fan. Bruno was my hero, and one day I lucked out, saw him in his backyard, and crawled through these stupid, gigantic hedges. And I couldn't help it. Yeah. I don't know if it was destiny but I loved it so much I had to go. And then the rest is history, and I was just going to tell that. So I started telling that story. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because I looked up for the first time into this giant crowd, and the first few rows or so was everybody I knew. Dusty and Pat Patterson and Cena and them and Randy. I mean, everybody I knew, and I went, oh, hey, there's so-and-so, there's so-and-so. I'm thinking in my mind, right? Yeah. And I went, what the hell did I just say? And because I didn't have nothing written, I forgot and I remember saying, I lost my train of thought here. I remember saying that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I swear, I left my body and I don't know what I said.
Yeah.
I walked backstage, Vince grabbed me and said, Larry, you were in the moment, that's what I wanted, that was great. Arnold Schwarzenegger grabbed me and he said, you're the greatest actor, the way you got the story, and you sucked him in the dramatic pause and you killed him. I said, dramatic pause? I blanked out. I didn't remember a word I said. I mean, it came from a different dimension.
Yeah.
I had to watch it back, and I did say that. I did say that. It was weird. It was fun.
All right, Larry, really appreciate your time, giving me a few minutes to talk, and it's a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for everything done for the business.
Well, thank you, buddy. Have fun. On with the show.
Thanks to Rowan Wrestling down in Florida for letting me come out there and interview Larry Zbyszko. Great promotion down in South Florida. If you're in the South Florida area, make sure to check them out. But thanks to Trevor and company for letting me come out there and enjoy. Have a nice evening at Rowan 7.
You know, he's probably in South Florida right now.
Who?
Just never mind.
Who?
Hulk Hogan, because he's not doing
Brother.
not doing anything else.
Now, just to talk about a little bit wrestling, a little bit some current event stuff that doesn't concern a brother or a guy with a Fu Manchu. Mr. Hulk Hogan.
You know, that's the same guy.
It is. I want to talk about John Cena and his broken nose.
Oh, man.
That was...
What a knee.
A knee from Seth Rollins.
Oh, when he's over in the corner and John Cena goes to get up and then you just see the blood gush out. Like, whoa, that's gross.
It was awesome. A person told me that they didn't stop the match because Cena was having too much fun in the ring with the broken nose.
Oh, your adrenaline pumping after that. Absolutely.
So obviously Cena busted up and he was in the hospital, and he did have a Make-A-Wish be granted by John Cena. So Cena,
that was good.
From kayfabenews.com. That's not true. But yeah,
oh, really, Glenn?
Well, I don't want to.
Thanks for the heads up.
You got a lot of marks listening.
What if John Cena's Make-A-Wish was granted by Hulk Hogan during that time?
Brother.
That would have been bad news.
Hey, brother. But that Cena, obviously, that nose. I've never broken my nose. Have you broken your nose before, Steve?
No.
Until now.
Totally smashed my nose when I was a little kid.
But I can only imagine the pain because that affects your whole nasal and
not being able to
breathing, your eyes, your vision.
The pain, I believe, goes to once they reset it.
Yeah. So he went to the hospital. He's going to be out for a few weeks, which is going to be back in time for SummerSlam.
Does that change things?
I hope it does, because I don't want to see Cena Rollins for the title. Because we all know who wins. LOL, Cena wins.
But not the title. I think it would be he wins due to disqualification or something.
He'll win.
Because they're not going to give him both belts.
Well, the thing is, too, Cena Rollins will not be the main event. So would they have Cena win?
Right.
And not the main event? That's a good point, too.
Yeah, they could have him win not by pinfall or submission main event.
Yeah.
Or be non-main event.
Have Owens come out and beat him up or something.
Somebody. It makes things interesting. At least, I mean, we knew that was going to go the Cena Rollins route, which stinks because obviously they were boring. And they were making this sound like it's the fresh take, but it's really not because, remember, that was Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Cena's team versus Rollins' team.
Yeah. I didn't like it. But I like how Kevin Owens, in his weekly interview with Michael Cole,
stays on it. Was
like, dude, I broke my nose. My first NXT match with CJ Parker, face palmed the nose, broke Owens' nose, and it also cut a deep cut on Parker's hand. And nobody was like, "Oh, you're so tough, Kevin. You're amazing." Nobody said that. Cena does it, the exact same thing, and Michael Cole is making it seem like Cena's, the best thing since sliced bread.
Not just Michael Cole, but JBL.
Oh, JBL, yeah.
John Cena's the toughest son of a bitch in this business. Michael. Oh, Michael.
But Owens did the same thing, which is great because the way it happened, because Owens and Cena have gone at it. But Owens brings a good point. It happened to Owens in the ring. It happens all the time. But it's John Cena. Oh, It's the greatest thing ever.
Sami Zayn wrestled John Cena with a shoulder on his socket.
You didn't talk about how tough he was.
I think we did a little bit.
Well, we did, but they didn't really.
Some people talk. Yeah, well, that's because they didn't want to bring up how he injured himself.
Yeah, just throwing his hands up.
Yeah.
Whoa. No. But, yeah. So Cena breaking his nose. He'll be out for a few weeks. What if he comes out the mask?
Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestled with a broken neck.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
So did Kurt Angle. Although we do talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin is the toughest SOB.
Yeah.
So I guess we do talk about his toughness.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bad example.
Would Cena come back with a mask, maybe? That'd be nice.
Triple H finished the match with a torn quad once. Vince McMahon, 2 torn quads.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I remember that. Still staying in character, too. Sitting in the... Oh, that was... Oh, that...
Don't talk about that, though, because he was walking when it happened.
No, he was sprinting.
Was he sprinting when
no,
he did it?
he was walking. All powerful.
Oh, he was power walking,
And then he started running.
Oh,
and when he dove into the ring, that's when it happened. He just when he got up, he just went, oh. Both of them at the same time, dude.
That's terrible.
That's awful. And he's still getting character. Didn't show any pain at all.
That's why you got to stretch.
Stretch. But yeah, that's SummerSlam's. Gonna be 4 hours now.
4 hours long now. Do you like that?
It's too long. There's not enough good wrestling to last 4 hours. It's gonna be all promo crap and a Raw recap.
Remember, was it last year? Last year, Lesnar Cena.
SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when Lesnar won.
Right. Remember, for a while, you're like they're not leaving enough time for the main event. They're not leaving enough time for the main event. And they're like 3 hours is gonna be enough time, and you thought you were gonna get the 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then Lesnar just dominates Cena.
Oh, it was quick.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, this is unbelievable,
I
but
know.
somehow I feel like I just got my money's worth. And
But
it was
then-
a 5 minute, 10
But
minute
now
match.
4 hours.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, I think it's because of the pace of the Undertaker match that you have to have.
That's gonna be a half an hour from this. Let's get to the ring.
Undertaker needs, and then he needs to pace that match out long enough at this point.
Now
There's gonna be a lot of outside the ring breaks on that.
a lot of headlocks.
Oh, Undertaker wisely gets out of the ring.
Now here's one way you can fix that, Steve. WWEshop.com.
You're
They're
not
selling,
allowed to step out of the batter's box?
No.
Oh.
No. They are selling Dead Man Inc. shirts, brand new Dead Man. It has that kind of that American Badass theme. That would cut into the entrance if you ride a motorcycle down to the ring as American Badass. Would you be in favor for a Undertaker coming back as the American Badass? If they hit Limp Bizkit, I would pop.
Stupid.
I would love it.
That was the worst Undertaker ever.
Dun, 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 dun,
I hated
put
that.
Your hands up. Keep on rolling, baby.
Hated that.
Why?
That was an awful Undertaker.
It was awesome.
Don't go from this mystery dead person to, just like all of you, America, riding my motorcycle, waving the flag.
That'd be awesome. One time only.
No.
One more time.
Stop it.
Oh.
I want the old dead Undertaker one more time.
Or
like the
Dead
Ministry.
Man walking.
No. Or the Ministry.
You're gonna pay.
The Ministry Undertaker. Those were all awful Undertakers.
Ministry Undertaker was cool. I like the goat thing.
Yeah, I'd take that Undertaker back.
But you don't like the you're gonna pay. Gone and down, did it now.
Nope. I like the Undertaker where you understood why he was called an Undertaker.
Yeah. And now it's American I would be in
now
favor
what
for
is it?
it.
It's just his motorcycle name?
Maybe in the next few weeks we'll see him like something happen to where it morphs into the Dead Man Inc. The American Badass. I would be in favor for it.
What if they sold you a ballpoint pen on WWE.com and you dipped it into Dead Man Inc.? Would you buy it? This is a thought.
$30. Dead Man Inc. Didn't tell you whose dead body. It's Hogan's blood.
That's right.
Dead
hey,
man.
Michelle McCool, don't dip your pen into company Dead Man Inc.
God.
I don't know. Like, I'm totally glad I dipped my pen in your ink, bro. Pineapple Express. I don't know.
God. So that could pop. I don't know if that was a rumor, but that'd be kind of fun to see Undertaker come back American Badass. I wouldn't mind it for one time only. It would cut dramatically into the entrance of Undertaker, which would be great.
4 hours, though, for SummerSlam. Now, I've also seen that they're going to maybe talk about doing pay-per-views solely for $4.99. and not having to do the monthly subscription to get the pay-per-views. Is WWE getting cocky again? I don't want them to get cocky again because of like Destination America is maybe thinking about bailing on, sounds like Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And TNA right now.
I don't know because they just put a bunch of new Raws from 98, 99 on the network. They put more in the vault.
Yeah.
So I think they're starting to see that people are watching the old stuff. Before they said nobody's watching that stuff, the old Raws, which I love watching those old Raws. But if they do go towards the $4.99 a month for pay-per-views and you don't need a subscription, you just get the pay-per-view for that night only if you subscribe for one night. I think it'd be the bad route because obviously people are going to get the pay-per-view for $10 and get the whole network for the month. You're giving away $5. If you're a wrestling fan, you want to stream WWE, you should get the whole freaking network and. Really,
well, that would probably piss a lot of guys off too.
Oh yeah,
because they're already missing out on the pay-per-view money.
Yeah.
And now your thing is,
well,
we have right now we have all these subscribers though for the whole month, and we're getting more money for that. Well, now you're cutting that money in half too.
Yeah.
You could see, could you see a lot of these guys going to something like, I think Lucha Underground's the next thing to blow up.
Yeah, but they don't.
It's
even
only
know
on the El Rey network.
They don't even know if they're going to be able to do a second season or whatever.
I don't know. It's fun. Watch a little bit here and there
fun,
on YouTube.
I'm not sure they can do a second season.
And I would like to watch that, but I don't know. It needs competition. Are we?
There is never going to be a competition for WWE ever again.
Well, then is wrestling facing its Cecil the Lion days? I don't know.
No, it will never go away. WWE will never go away. But it's going to be hard. You're going to see a lot of people who try to compete with it fail or not live up to any legit competition for WWE.
But it's not living up to itself.
Oh, of course not, because they are. I mean, it's PG. They're catering more. This whole Hulk Hogan thing, I'm sure they would just have them off TV, but sponsors, advertisers.
You know what? For
PG
sponsorship,
audience.
I thought about this while watching Monday Night Raw. WWE, to get more and more sponsorship money and everything again, needs this Devo Revolution. Because
so they need a lot more Castro GTX commercials and like the old.
It just needs more mainstream sponsorships. So here you have, I'm watching this match between two really good-looking girls, between Paige and Sasha Banks the other night.
Yeah.
But I'm not watching it like, oh, here's the Divas match. I'm watching like, hey, here's another match that's coming up. Here's a match, and I was just watching a good match. And it was. And it was the first time we saw two of the like former NXT girls, I think, really go one-on-one with each other. And two girls who are familiar with each other.
Yeah.
Like on Raw. So they need that because then I guess you get the little girls involved. Like, you have little girls who now want to watch wrestling. And it's not just little boys looking up to all these kids or whatever. And it's a lot more people who are into it. So they need that now more than ever before. And I think that's more successful for them financially, looking back than the Attitude Era when it was all, you got boobs falling out everywhere.
Boobies!
Yeah. Their demographic is becoming broader by doing that. And that's where their money is going to be. They need it because with the guys and everything, their storylines are getting dull. It's getting boring. This helps.
PG writing. It's all just.
It's not just a Divas Revolution.
They need to see if this
industry helpful.
Revolution is going to be long standing, or is this going to be peak right now? Then just go turn to shit like it used to.
Yeah, and to our friend John Thorne's point, they need to keep evolving NXT. They need to be their own best competition.
Yeah,
because that NXT brought more attention. Refueled attention to WWE. Every time you get that new influx of top-level NXT guys, like an Owens, or like before, guys like Cesaro and The Shield and everybody coming in, you're tuning in to Raw and everything to watch those guys now.
Well, the new wave of NXT in Miami, I saw the first Uhaa Nation. Obviously, everybody knows who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Big indie guy. He's going to be a star. But after that, the next 4 or 5 matches of that card at NXT Miami was people I never heard of. They're not going to have, at least to me, the same kind of splash as the Owens did, or even like the Pac, people
Yeah.
know as Neville, and just not gonna, or Finn, people that have been around for years. These are younger people that have yet to establish themselves on a greater indie scale, not like a Owens or a Finn, that they're gonna have to find their niche and find their own audience at NXT. That's gonna take some time. You can't. Owens, Finn, these guys are ready. They're ready to go for WWE main roster. These guys now need to work and see if their character fits. It's going to take some time. So it's going to be interesting to see how NXT evolves with all their superstars gone to the main roster and see who steps up, because it could just go right back to being just a developmental, uninteresting product like it was before. They had that surge of indie people.
And you may never have a Daniel Bryan or Kevin Owens like story again, because they've already gobbled these guys up.
Yeah.
I look at a guy, and because guys who have been around that long now know the business and now know what they do, and NXT has drawn attention to these smaller promotions and everything, like a Lucha Underground.
Mm-hmm.
You look at a guy like Matt Cross, Son of Havoc on Lucha Underground, and we get to watch him all the time at AIW, and he's phenomenal, and he's been a great performer for years and years and years. Well, now WWE bringing NXT, drawing attention to the indie scene, has helped him even more, but in a way that he might not have to go to WWE to have a successful career and be all right in life, like guys used to. Like, oh, that's it, that's where I gotta be. And, you might have some of those guys that still want to, because to them that's it, that's where they go. But if you're smart and you're wise, with your money and you're that top level guy and you're making noise and you're always that guy that's on the cusp of being in a WWE, where people are like, that's the guy that should be in WWE next, you might not have to go to it now.
Yeah.
Because as long as you're still that guy, everybody's going to want to book you and make money off of you, and you're putting on great matches. You could still be all right. Yeah, you'll probably maybe you'll still make more money in WWE. But your long-standing future, you know you've got a job.
Yeah.
Continue booking yourself that way.
I mean, the next kind of like guys I see going to NXT that would make a big splash, like a Owens did or a Finn did, would be the Young Bucks.
Yes, and that would be huge.
That would be huge for them.
And just like we talked to them too, they don't have to.
Yeah.
Do they kind of want to? Yeah, there's part of them that does.
Yeah.
But they don't have to.
Yeah, they don't need to be restricted by WWE. They can
Because-
go out.
right.
They're making mad money off T-shirts. They're making mad money with these appearances every week. They're doing what they love. They get to see their family. They get to live where they want to live. They don't have to go down to Orlando. They can do what they want. And they're making more money doing that than they would probably WWE, unless they got a huge contract, which WWE probably doesn't want to give them.
And those are the guys like a Matt Cross, like I was talking about. They're right there. They're right on that level that everybody's talking about them. So everybody wants to book them. Because they're those guys where it's like, oh my gosh, I could see them being on the WWE roster. And as long as they're right there in that conversation, doesn't matter. They don't actually have to be on the roster. Like, those are kind of they're more popular for that than somebody that might be on NXT right now.
Yeah. All right. AIW is going to be having their Battle of the Sexes show August 14th, AIWrestling.com for that. We'll be there for that, doing some interviews and whatnot. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at TIA Wrestling is our Twitter. You can follow along with our wrestling musings on the Twitter machine. And you can follow me on Twitter at GlenmoreCLE at
The Steve Guy.
And thanks to Rowan for letting us come out, let me come out there in South Florida to interview Larry Zbyszko, and look for more interviews in the coming weeks. You got Daniel Bryan on the schedule as well, and we'll be doing a lot of stuff with AIW on August 14th at their show, Battle of the Sexes. AIWrestling.com is the site. Congrats to Chris from Canada for winning the Daniel Bryan book. We'll be contacting you shortly to get your information, to send it out your way. Steve, anything else we got to do here, man?
I got a question real quick. In Canada, is it just the Destroyer? Is it called just the Destroyer, or is it still the Canadian Destroyer?
Canadian Destroyer.
It's not just the Destroyer?
I think it's Canadian Destroyer.
Even in Canada?
That's a good point. I'm not sure.
Like Canadian bacon, I feel like should just be bacon.
Bacon. It's bacon up there, right?
Yeah.
Or is it? Yeah, then they call the strips American bacon?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So somebody from Canada that
Yeah,
follows
Chris, let us
wrestling,
know.
let us know. Well, it's probably about time to get out of here.
I think we still got something to do, man.
I don't know.
No?
Do we?
Holler if you hear me.
I think I want to. There's all sorts of traffic out there. There's sirens. I think I gotta beat those sirens. I don't know what those sirens are, Glenn. I gotta beat those, whatever that is.
All right.
Is that siren's coming from the traffic, isn't it?
Nope.
It's not?
No.
Oh.
You know what time it is.
Oh man, it still got to us.
Yeah.
It's time to call the big bad booty daddy, who also doesn't like Hulk Hogan. Scott, maybe that's why he doesn't. If Scott Steiner answers the call the week that we are talking about Hulk Hogan, this would be incredible.
Oh my God.
This would be the best interview ever. Scott Steiner, here's 15 minutes. Talk about Hulk Hogan. Oh man.
So there's Scott.
Scott, brother. It's what's going on, brother? It's Terry Balea.
Remember that one time we
Hey, all good about you. You went down with you and my wife, brother. It's all fine. No worries. Let bygones be bygones. Forgive people of their past. Know what I'm saying, brother? So, what you gonna do this weekend, brother? I don't have any plans anymore.
God. On that note, I don't have any plans anymore. Want to meet up on a Tuesday? I have no plans on Tuesdays anymore. All right. We'll catch you guys next week here in This Is Awesome Wrestling Show.
At TIA Wrestling.
Final show of July. This summer is going by quick.
Woo.
Woo. And look for Daniel Bryan. Thanks to Larry Zbyszko for giving me a few minutes to chat with him for the show. And go on iTunes. Subscribe to us. You can go back and listen to all our past interviews. Seth Rollins, Jerry the King Lawler, EC3, 3 times, Johnny Gargano, Neville, Lillian Garcia. Who was dangerous? Doug Gilbert.
Kevin Owens.
Yeah, The Miz, Heath
Sasha
Slater,
Banks.
Mark Henry,
Taylor Hendricks.
Corey Graves.
Crazy Mary Dobson.
The list goes on. So add Larry Zbyszko to the list. Go back. The links are on iTunes. Download.
Not Vader.
Yeah, not Vader.
Samoa Joe. My good
Joe.
friend Samoa
Yeah,
Joe.
your good friend Samoa Joe.
He likes me when we see him.
All right. We'll talk to you guys next week. This is Awesome Wrestling Show. And be careful out there, brothers.